How's it guys, it's Dayvy, FPL, and welcome back to the Deadline with Dayvy livestream. This livestream is going to revolve around blank/double game week 27. A little bit of an interesting one. Blanks and doubles both coming up in this game week. Which players to bring in, which free hit players to bring in. That's going to be probably the discussion or the topics of discussion in this video. For my own team right off the bat, I'm not free hitting. I don't think I'll be tempted enough in the next hour. I'll say 45 minutes, 55 minutes actually, to hit the chip. I'll probably just be taking a -4 this week, taking out Virgil and Salah with the aims of bringing them back in next week. Now, who that's going to be for is under debate. It could be a Burnley defender, it could be Cancelo. The midfielder slot's a little bit easier. I think it's going to be a Man City midfielder. But which out of kind of Kevin De Bruyne, Morris, and Sterling do you guys think I should bring in? But we're going to go straight into it, Let's get the OBS to the right-hand side, focus on the chat. First things first, I want to say thank you to Mohammed for becoming a legend. I do appreciate the support, brother, and hopefully you enjoy your time as a legend as well. How's it, G-Ball? Any Twitter DMs tonight, brother? Or we are having a silent night here? Do you know what's your plan for this upcoming game week? Vincent with his classic times up, pants down. But Vincent, we have 55 minutes, as I said. Actually, 53 minutes to be more precise. So don't worry, you can keep those pants up for now and drop them in about 50 minutes time. Also, a lot of other people saying, how's it? Hopefully you guys are doing well. As always, thank you for joining me on a Friday night, morning, afternoon, wherever you guys are around the world. And hopefully you managed to get out after this boring kind of AFPL stream and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Harry saying apparently Semedo's injured. Yes, I watched the game last night. Arsenal fans might be a little bit lucky at the end of the day. But Semedo, our transfer in for this week, ended up getting, I don't know if it was a hamstring or a knee injury, but it looked like a hamstring tear. So what I might do is I might just wait and then see how it goes in the next week or so. Why is the screen so bright? I do apologize if it looks bright. It looks fine on my side, but maybe on your side it looks a little bit bright. And your screen is blurry. The one thing I want you guys to tell me is that if 1080p does not look crispy, because the internet has been down this week, so if 1080p does not look as kind of clean, then maybe there is some concerns. But I do know FPL's website is a little bit weird. So what I can do is I can switch over to fpl.team, and then we can use that as a kind of a metric to use against. Jason saying, woke up early for the stream, 6:30 a.m. in New Zealand. Why on earth are you waking up at 6:30 on a Saturday? You should get your sleep there. Looks crisp. Darren, thank you. Appreciate it. No Twitter DMs yet, says G-Ball. Tarkowski or Ben Me? So that'll be a question we answer. So Darth, thank you for becoming a supporter. Are you a new supporter or a recurring supporter? Because I think that's the new supporter badge, so I do appreciate it. But so Darth, I know you're in the chat constantly, so thank you for taking the leap to becoming a supporter. I do appreciate it. Bobby with £2 saying, is Dalot starting, and news on Cornet? So apparently the news on Cornet, it's hit or miss. So he's currently looks a little bit out of sorts. He has been training, I think, but it's a touch and go, as Sean Dyche likes to say. I wouldn't be too confident on him. I think if you have him, you keep him. But if you are in a free hit, I probably would look elsewhere. I think the double up of Burnley defense and Weghorst is what you want to go for anyways. So Bobby, if you have Cornet, just keep him. But otherwise, I don't think I'd be bringing him in. 6:30 a.m. here. So Darth, you're having a nice little late night stream here. Apologies for not whispering this time. A lot of people using the free hit, exactly. So thank you, Shane. I appreciate the 1080p is looking crispy. So the free hit's probably the majority chip this week. If you guys are using it, I'm pretty jealous. I'm not free hitting, and the reason behind that is that I only have one left. I was one of those managers that used it in game week 19. Do I regret it? Not necessarily. I think if I didn't use the free hit, I probably would have brought Ronaldo in. And as you guys know, I captained Bruno when he had that banger a couple of game weeks ago. So my kind of perspective on it isn't that bad. I don't regret it, as I said, but I mean, this week's going to tell. If a team like City is going to bang, and I might be bringing them in this week for a little bit of coverage, then I think you free hitters are going to be laughing. So we're going to see how it goes. Yeah, so Sean Duchess said touch and go, exactly like Barry's saying. I think that's his favorite phrase to use in Burnley press conferences, is touch and go. So Darth saying, been following you since 800 subs. That's mental. I do appreciate the support, brother, as I always say. Saiss or me for a -4 hit? I think you have to prioritize me this week. I'm not too confident on my my Wolves assets, but I think for the long term, you probably prefer Saiss. But I think this week, what you can do is bring in me. Next week or the game week after, you can switch to Saiss. You can kind of just play the doubles. I think it might be fine to do. Have you got a wild card left? Brett, I haven't. I used it last week. So last week wasn't the worst game week in the world, wasn't the best. We went from about 8.5k to 10.5k roundabout. I think we're currently sitting as you can see on screen there, 10.6. But the thing about it is that we kind of set up for game week at 28, 29 and game week 30. So I'm fine with it, but I can't tell you now if the wildcards paid off because, as I said, it's going to be these next couple of game weeks that are going to tell us if it's worth it. But currently only what I have left is a bench boost, a triple captain, and 1 free hit left. Still so disappointed with the Arsenal defense. So I actually tweeted about it last night. Losing the clean sheet in the 95th minute and then losing the clean sheet against Wolves for a dodgy back pass. I mean, what's the luck based on there? I mean, it's always quite good timing of FPL to remind you this is a luck-based game at the end of the day. So that's what I was a little bit sad about. So Kat saying, are you free hitting? I'm not free hitting. This is my team. I'm pretty sure you guys should hope that if this is my team on a free hit, I might be going a little bit mental. So this is what's kind of going for me. Igor is saying, what is your prediction for the Burnley defense? It's hard for me to go with me, so I need to go with someone else. So Igor, great question there, brother. So my thinking on Burnley defense, I don't think they keep a clean sheet in either game. They have a chance of it, I guess. But I think you're getting those Burnley defenders in for their attacking threat off those set pieces. And bringing a defender in for their attacking threat doesn't really sit right with me. I think I'm one of those more conservative managers. But in terms of Burnley, I don't have faith in them to get a clean sheet. And that's why I might just go with Cancelo this week and with the aim of transferring him out next week. The one thing I do worry about with Cancelo, though, is that Walker's nailed to start because of the Champions League. And then you have Zinchenko, who is going to have a fire under his belly, if you know what I'm saying, because of what's happened to his homeland. And I think Pep might play him. So I'm a little bit worried about going for Cancelo, but I guess he has the high ceiling out of any defender in the game at the moment. Ryan saying he ghosted me. Sorry, Ryan, I haven't been on Twitter much. You guys will have known if you've followed me for quite a while. I'm not the best over on Twitter. It was a hectic work day today, so I haven't been on social media too much. But sorry for ghosting you. I do apologize for that. Are you free hitting? I'm not free hitting, Taha. Wildcard or free hit or hold? I wouldn't wildcard this week. I think you wildcard next week. But if you have 2 free hits, I would say go for it this week as long as your team is not looking stacked. If you're going to come with 2 Man City assets already, a Broja, a Weghorst, then maybe just keep it. Is Sancho good if I can't afford Bruno on my free hit? So if you guys watch my latest free hit video, I actually went for Bruno Fernandes out for Sancho just because you are saving a bit of money. Now, whether Sancho starts, I think he will. I think they're going to go pretty full strength, even though Cavani's out injured. Ronaldo probably has to play. So I think they should go full strength, but it's a little bit hard to predict who's going to start. But I do think that the Sancho downgrade for Fernandes is fine as long as you're making a significant upgrade in another department. And I think that significant upgrade is a Foden to a Sterling or Foden to a De Bruyne. I think that's a perfectly fine move. Do an updated free hit. So my updated free hit Ali is my video yesterday. That's the team that I would go with. Salam asking me if this is the final lineup. No, it won't. I'm probably going to make a transfer. One transfer definitely. I'm going to take Virgil van Dijk out. But now I'm thinking about taking Salah out, even though it's going to cost me another -4 next week. Augustine with the super chat saying, why does everyone have so much faith in Weghorst as captain? Is it because of the double game week? Any alternative captain shouts? So Augustine, I guess I understand where you're coming from because Burnley's attack isn't that strong. So yes, from an element, there is the bench, the double game week factor where any kind of double game week we go for, AFL managers go mad about it. But then you also have that factor that Leicester and Crystal Palace have conceded the most goals in the Prem to set pieces. And Weghorst comes in at 6'6". So, he's packing in the height department. So he could always get on the end of one of those set pieces. And the thing about Leicester and Crystal Palace is you can almost see Burnley scoring. And I think if Burnley do score, it's probably going to be either the centre-backs or Weghorst, in my opinion. Will saying, free at Dayvy. I'm not free hitting, but I have created some drafts if you guys want to go check that out. Harry saying, do you think Mahrez and Sterling are the best City midfielders to go with? I think Mahrez, Sterling, and KDB are the 3 I would look at. My What's making it quite hard is that I think naturally as FPL managers, we navigate to the more expensive option. So I'm almost thinking about going for Kevin De Bruyne. But I do think Mahrez, even though he's the cheapest, provides the best option this week. Every time Mahrez starts a game, he scores basically. And that's why I think I'd look at it. Is your video based around using the bench boost too? I don't exactly know what you mean about that. You can't bench boost in the same game week, so maybe just maybe clarify that a little bit for me there. 0-0. Jason with a comment about Weghorst. I mean, if you've seen it, I mean, I can't judge. Definitely go for Sterling or Mahrez, says Kuran. That's what I think. I think you almost have to go with Sterling or Mahrez just because they have a high ceiling in my opinion. Yes, Kevin De Bruyne on his day could bang, but I just think that Mahrez and Sterling look slightly more assured. Klitsch Gaming saying, will Foden start? I'm not the best expert on Man City. There are other experts, not experts, but they're good. They do good predictions, such as fantasy football scout Luke. He thinks that Foden will play. In terms of the predictions from most Man City fans, they've said that Foden might play. Look, if you have him, you keep him. But if you're going to bring him in, I would still go with Sterling and Mahrez on my free hit. So chances are you either have him or you're going to go on a free hit. So either way, you just keep or sell Foden. How to know how many free hits are left? So Helmy, have you used a free hit? If you've used a free hit, then you don't have one left. What you can do is go to your points page and then go to view game week history on the right hand side. Towards the top, it should be below your name. And then go and view game week history and it should tell you what chips you've used. And if you've used a free hit, if you see a free hit there, that means you have one left. But if you don't, it means you have two left. Everyone has been given two this week. KDB and Mahrez or Sterling and Mahrez? Vicky, I think I'm slightly edging towards Sterling and Mahrez just because on a free hit, I think you go with the players that have a higher ceiling. It's a little bit more of a punt, and that's why I think that Sterling and Mahrez just edge it for me. As I think KDB, if he does drop a slightly deep in that Everton game, I don't know. But I think that they should get advanced pretty much because I think that Everton should park. Wall saying, should I go Sterling or KDB? The predicted points say KDB, but I think Sterling slightly. I don't know. There's just something about Sterling that I think I prefer him to KDB this week. Melon saying, with 10 players left, including King, Edouard, Bachmann, Dalot, and Regi, would you free it? So Dalot's fine. I don't know about Reguilon. He's a bit all over the place at the current moment. Bachmann's your keeper against United. Edouard is a rotation risk. Melon, do you have two free hits? If you have two free hits, definitely go for it. But if you have one, I think I still might go for it. G-Ball saying Grealish is fit too, by the way. I think Grealish and Jesus were announced fit, but I don't think they'll start. I think that common sense tells you that they've just come back from injuries and therefore they should come off the bench. But Pep doesn't abide by common sense. He'll play Jesus at centre back. So, I mean, it is what it is. When is the next double? Game week after 28, it's 29. Game week 29 is the next double. What you can do is I made a chip strategy video and you can see there, thanks to McCall, he released a graphic that has everything. Devin Little saying Sterry Stumpy. Yes, basically every stream I've had a Sterry Stumpy. I've saved one for these. Ward Prowse is a guaranteed haul. That could be the case. That could be the case, to be honest. When would you free it? Only have one left. I would free it, Ryan, in game week 33 or game week 36. I actually had this discussion with someone today at my work. And I said that past game week 30, so game week 31, 32, we will know who doubles and who blanks in game week 33 and 36. And therefore, I'll make an assessment on which one I think has the highest, gain. And also, if I don't choose to triple captain in game week 29, I might triple captain in 36 or 37, and therefore I might just use the free hit in 33. So currently, I don't have a strategy, but I think this season that's how it has to go, because if they announce a big double in game week 35 or game week 32, we could use the free hit there. My worry is that with the free hit draft is having no bench plus the pep roulette, but you can get some cheap options on your bench. There's enough cheap guys to kind of afford that. Just think of an Amarty, he should play, so that's a cheap option that you guys can get off the bench. And there's also some other cheaper, maybe you want to go for Norwich assets, you can, but they might be a bit bit risky if they came off, but there's enough options that you guys can get on your bench that are cheap enough. So don't worry about that. And I think City, they have to win, so they could go for it. G-Ball, did you see that Ben Crellin tweet about Chelsea Norwich? Does that change anything in the transfer plan? So G-Ball, it doesn't, but it almost makes me want to use a transfer more, because my thinking behind it is that if I take Virgil out this week, I then will bring in whoever I want to bring in. Then hopefully by the Game Week 28 deadline, we get more news about the double. Well, we should have to get more news. And then I could always just take whoever I bring in for Van Dijk to an Alonso, a James, a Rudiger, that sort of thing. So I'm going to make a transfer next week anyway, and therefore I can bring in a great option if Chelsea do double. So that's my current thinking, and that's why I definitely will take Virgil out this week. And it's just depending on Salah, who I'm feeling about bringing in for Salah. Sancho, Sterling or Foden? Bruno, no money in the bank on a free hit. Sancho, Sterling or Bruno? Oh, Sancho, Sterling or Foden, Bruno. I'll go Sancho, Sterling, Siddharth. Weghorst or Bruno for captain? Both are fine options. I actually don't really mind the single game week captains this week. All those are fine to do. I think Son, Bruno probably edge it for me. Kane is up there. Ronaldo's up there. But I think Weghorst has a double game week, so it's a little bit tough, to be honest, on that captaincy. But yeah, I think I would still go with Weghorst, but I can understand the Bruno captain. Bernardo can't afford Mahrez. I'd almost be tempted to just go Foden. Can you afford Foden, or is Mahrez more expensive than Foden? Forgot to play my music. Vincent saying Foster plus me or Pope plus Bednarek. I think Pope's the best option from a Burnley perspective, so I would edge for Pope Bednarek, to be honest. Vidar saying have a good plan this week and 2 free hits left. Better to free hit next week. Fixtures are terrible. If you have a good team this week, then yeah, just keep it. There's no need to free hit if your team is looking fine. Is it okay? Is a wildcard okay if I'm bench boosting in game week 28? The only thing let's say is that I don't think your team in 27 is going to be that great. But I can understand why you want to free it. But what I would say is if your team's fine, or if you want to free it this week, just wildcard next week and bench boost 29. It's a tough one to say. I don't think this is the week to wildcard. I think there's too much up in there with the blank. And next week, what you can do is you can prioritize maybe getting some double gaming players in and that sort of thing. Whereas this week, it's a little bit dodgy. When do you plan to wildcard next? Gabriel, I can't wildcard. I've used it last week, buddy. That's what I was going to do. Could we have early lineups for Southampton? We could potentially. That's what we could have it, but I don't think we will. And the thing about it is that it has to come from a confirmed source. Otherwise, it's usually just, it's like bull. The lineup is just some prediction from some guy, and it's never right. But I'll check Twitter for you before the deadline just to make sure. What's up, Duran? Nothing much, brother. Looking forward to the weekend and yourself. Why don't you do Saka to James Ward-Prowse? He has a great double next week for the bench boost as well. So I could do Saka, but then I'm taking another hit, and Saka has Watford. So Watford's a fine fixture for me for Arsenal, but I can understand what you're saying in terms of this week. But then, I also am blocking the move for Weghorst to Adams. And I think that's going to clear up a lot of things. So my current plan next week is to take Weghorst to Adams for that double game week. And that's why Ward-Prowse kind of blocks that triple up. And there's no other options in that forward department that I like. I could have gone for a Watkins or an Ings, but I just worry about some rotation there. Whereas with Adams, I think that he should play. And that's so I had to think about it for a moment there, but I just remembered my reasoning. So it's a good suggestion, but I want to get that triple up next week. What's the plan for this week? The plan for this week is to take Van Dijk out. I'm contemplating who for. I was thinking about Ben Mee, but now I'm thinking about Cancelo. And in terms of my Salah, I'm thinking about maybe taking him out for a Man City option. And let me just explain my thinking behind this, because basically what happens is now, if I take them out for a -4, it's a -2, because the player I bring in will theoretically have appearance points. But then next week, I'm doing a -4 to take them out. And that's basically locking in a -6. So the player I bring in this week has to get me more points than 6. 6 points or more is going to be profit. Or actually more than 6 points will be profit. And I feel like Cancelo has a chance of a 6-pointer or more. And a Man City midfielder has a chance of a 6-pointer or more. That's my current thinking. That's why I might be fine to go for it. Why have you not used your free hit? Because my current team I feel is fine for not free hitting. I don't know. You guys will probably roast me now. You'll probably say my team is trash. But I feel like it's fine to kind of go for this week. I mean, I've got Son, I've got Weghorst, Breuer, Foster. I think I've got some of the bases covered here. I just hope that my differentials, my Lucas Digne's and Coutinho's bang against Brighton. Andy's saying, thanks again for saving me from the -48. -48 for 10 to free hit. Similar team to yours, but 2 free hits left. Andy, I think if you have 2 free hits left, I would probably use one this week. I think if you have 2 free hits left, I'm on the side of using it because I just think this is a good opportunity to, especially if you're talking about you needing a -4 or -8 to get 10 or 11. That's what I would kind of go for. Have you used a free hit this season yet? I have. I used it in Game Week 19, Ryan. If you have 2 free hits left, would you use this one this week? Yes. So let me repeat this because maybe some people have joined the stream again. But this is the checklist you go through. You look at your team without a free hit, and you look at it and you think, is this team good or not good? If it's good, then just keep it. But if it's not good, use a free hit if you have 2. That's what I would say. If you have 1 free hit left, I would be tempted, unless your team is terrible, then maybe you can free it. But I don't know. Kagiso saying, is it worth taking a -4 to get rid of De Gea for Pope? As far as I know, Matt, United don't have doubles coming up. Am I right in saying that? Let me check for you. I think United have like the lowest doubles that they can get. Yeah, so United don't have doubles, so I would be fine with that move, to be honest. The best move, though, would be to bring in someone that has a single this week and a double next week, though. Someone like a Wolves asset and that sort of thing, because then you're locking in future fixtures. Whereas with Foster, with Pope, they play Chelsea up next, which isn't that great, but I mean, they could get a clean sheet there if they try. But I think that's a fine move to do. If you're locked on Pope, then that's chilled. Super Chat saying, setting team up for 27 to 29. Bednarek over Kyle Walker-Peters. Best Wolves replacement for Semedo. Coutinho or Ward-Prowse or Willock for Gray. I would go Ward-Prowse this week. I would go Sayis, replacement for Semedo. And I'd go Ward-Prowse for Gray. Just because they have a better fixture this week and they have a nice double. But Coutinho is like right up close there. I would still keep Kyle Walker-Peters, to be honest, over Bednarek, just because of that attacking threat. And you mentioning setting it up for the future. And that's what I kind of think about. Augustine saying, I chose not to free it this week. I have 9 to 8 players playing. I have a free transfer. Should I keep Ronaldo and captain or get Kane and captain him? I would keep Ronaldo and I would do a transfer on another position in your team. I think Ronaldo is fine. What I would try and do is replace maybe a defender, midfielder, or forward. You can captain Ronaldo, that's fine, but maybe bring in a Weghorst if you can. But I don't think it's worth going Ronaldo to Kane when Ronaldo might play and has Watford. That's not an optimized move for me, and I would rather just replace one of the 1 or 2 players that are missing, Augustine. Ty the Footy Guy, another regular of the stream, becoming a supporter. I appreciate it, brother. Jay saying, I've got 2 free hits left, no wild card. Will there be a better week to use the free hit? There might be, Jay, and that's the hard thing about this, is that there could be a double coming up or a blank coming up that's stupendous for the free hit, but we just don't know. And I think if you don't have a wild card, if you used it last week, I think you must have used it last week or maybe 25 or something like that, then I would free it this week. I just think it's worth it. As long as your team is set up for 28, 29, and 30, then you're fine. So Jay, if you like me and wildcarded last week, then free it this week. That's fine. Will Semedo play this week? As far as I know, he might have pulled his hammy, so he might be out for a long time. So I wouldn't bank on it, but he might have a miracle. I mean, stranger things have happened. Phil saying, thanks for the great videos. Appreciate the kind words. Who would you captain your Freer team? I would captain, so this is my link. I think it's super close between Vaghorst and Son. I'm tempted by Son, but I just think it's a double game week. Got to go for it. But I think Son or Vaghorst would be where I would go. And then there's a few other options. A Bruno, a Sancho, Ronaldo, a Kane. Those are fine. Rangding, so my message is not going through. Ironic that this message went through, but I don't know. What if you have 11 players playing? Should I still free it? Because, bro, I've been planning. Yeah, so if you've been planning Rangding, if you have a plan, go for it. And Abhilash saying, have Firmino, Cancelo, Aït-Nouri, Ramsey, Hughes, Bowen, Antonio, Kane, Dennis. How about Roberts and Morris without the free? That looks fine. With Roberts, maybe you can't afford anyone else, but Roberts is fine as long as you expect him to play both. Is Sufal out? As far as I know, he is. That's what I remember. Ty the Footy Guy saying, Dayvy, which one do you think is a better option to bring in this week? Me or Vaghorst? Can only bring one in. If you're going to captain Vaghorst, go for him. I would say go for Vaghorst as my one transfer. I just think the ceiling is a bit higher. Are we freeing Ropefly? Are we not? If this was my freer team, I'd be worried. Harry saying after benching Vaghorst, now how that feels. I'm all in this week. Can't miss his points again. I just hope he performs. That'll be quite nice to go for. But I think he's going to be the majority of kind of people's teams. It's going to be interesting to see the captaincy stats. Yeah, Sufal's out, says R and R are R. Yeah, so in terms of Van Dijk and Salah, I'm just trying to think of which options potentially could have the highest impact this week. I guess the Burnley assets are fine to go for. It's just I don't expect them to get a clean sheet. And I don't know about bringing a defender in that I don't expect to get clean sheets. That just sounds weird. Whereas with Cancelo, but then I worry that Cancelo gets benched. So that's what I'm like kind of worried about. Whereas with Ben, me and Tarkowski, they won't. And I'll play both. And then Salah, probably Mahrez, hey, this week. I guess Mahrez. In the last 9 game weeks, Leeds have conceded 11 assists and 10 goals down their right flank, which is where Son is playing. That is true, G-Bell, but I saw that over on Twitter, but I was a little bit worried because some of those players played like striker and that sort of thing. So I understand what you're saying, but yeah. Any essentials this week from Vaghorst, Broja, and Livramento? I'd say Man City assets. I think you need to cover them because if they bang, you're in trouble if you don't have them. Christian saying, good evening, Dayvy. Who do you prefer of Bednarek and Livramento? Cheers from Norway. Apparently, Southampton fans are saying that Livramento could potentially be benched. So I worry about that. So I would say go for Bednarek. Mohamed Amot Frieding, and thanks again for becoming a legend. I do appreciate it. Tarkowski or Pope? I have me and Vaghorst. Well, I think Pope I favor slightly, but I think Pope is better than Tarkowski just because of the save points. But you could go absolute header heaven and go with Tarkowski and me, because I mean, you almost what you're saying is that you're saying if Burnley score a header, it's good, the chances of it being Tarkowski, me, or Vaghorst is pretty high. So it depends, but I still think Pope, to be honest. Play Willock or Reguilon? I would probably go with Reguilon and just hope that he plays. Willock is fine, but it's a bit of a meh fixture for me, to be honest. No worries, Christian. Hamad with a super chat, but no comment. So Hamad, I'll watch out for your comment and just see if you maybe missed the speech. Harry also becoming a supporter, another regular on the stream. Thank you, I appreciate it, Harry. And the perks of the supporters I'm working on. I'm working on the Discord channel, don't worry. I just want to make it that it looks proper. But it might just be a channel where we talk. That's probably what it's going to be. Would you take Ben Johnson out? I don't know if he's going to start, but with Sufal out, Fredericks was playing, hey. But didn't Fredericks get injured? So maybe Johnson will play. I can check here for you quickly about the... From my point of view, I hope that West Ham don't keep a clean sheet. So Fredericks looks fine. I think he'll play instead, won't he? But he was taken at 45 minutes. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Johnson will play. I would probably just keep him and hope that he plays, but I wouldn't rely on it. Harry with the Saduts or the Housets. What transfers will you make? Zodiac currently, definitely Van Dijk out, but for who's my question? It's between two for me. It's between Cancelo and it's between Ben Mee. So those two, it's a bit tough. Then on Salah, I'm probably going to take him out, and it's going to be for Mahrez, Sterling, or De Bruyne. I think it's Sterling or Mahrez for me, but I'm leaning towards Mahrez, and that's what I'm kind of going for. G-Ball says, yes, Discord finally, 100%. I think it's going to be quite a nice thing to do. We'll especially use it next season, so what I'll do is this end of this season, we'll kind of trial it and see how it goes. Dennis to Vachos for a -8. Matt, if you're going to captain Vachos, then I'd say it's fine to do. Vachos to Bruno captain. I still am leaning towards Vachos, but Bruno's a fine single game week. Are you not playing your chip? Pedro, I'm not. I'm going chip free this week. Mio Tokowski. Nick, this is literally one of the best situations for the random wheel generator if you don't know. So just put it in a random wheel generator, flip a coin, because those two, it's so close between them, it's almost impossible. I just favor Ben Mee slightly. He has like a 0.1 more shots per game, and that's why I'm going for him. But either of those two are good this week, I think. Worth taking my final fiat this week? In my opinion, I'm saving it. But if your team looks terrible, then go for it. Livramento, Bednarek, or United defender. If it's going to be for a fiat, then I think a United defender is tempting, but I still might go with Bednarek. But if it's going to be for long term, I would say probably Bednarek as well, but Livramento's in and about there. Harry's saying me versus Tarkowski, wheel spin needed. But you see, Harry, I don't want to spin the wheel because I want Ben Mee. That's who I'm set on. And then we're going to land up with another Bo and Antonio situation where we spin the wheel and it's Antonio, but then I spin like 10 more times. Is Bruno not a better option than a Man City mid for Salah? Ryan, that I did ponder that, but I just feel like there's a high ceiling for Man City this week than for Bruno. But I did consider that, Ryan. That was almost my differential kind of this week, but I just think I need some Man City coverage because every Frieda has two attackers. Jason saying, sheesh, finally has decided to join a stream. Welcome back from your vacation. Kane or Ronaldo, Dayvy? Kane for me this week, Connor. What transfer are you using? Van Dijk out, Salah out. Davey, would you rather win FPL or Liverpool win the quadruple? Now you're here asking the big questions. But I am a Liverpool fan before I was an FPL manager. But winning FPL would be mental. Let's go for the team here. Because I don't want to be selfish. I want to make more people happy. So let Liverpool win the quadruple. There we go. That's a nice holistic answer. Makes you look like a good guy. Madison against Burnley, that's fine to do. The nice thing about Leicester is that they have a ton of fixtures coming up to be rearranged. Taha, can you please share a free draft? Go check my video release yesterday. That's the draft I would go for. Literally, guys, you don't even have to watch the entire video. Just skip to the end. I'll give you guys a break this week. Skip to the end and check it. Me versus Roberts. I prefer me because Roberts should be nailed. But I always have a worry with these fullbacks with Lowton in the wings and the other Taylor coming back from injury. Peters is still there. I don't know. What's the case for not free-hitting this week? For my own team, it's because I want to save it, and I think I can get a relatively respectable team with a -4. That's what I'm kind of thinking about. How much value do I have on Salah? That's what I wanted to check. And is he going to rise in price tonight? Because then we might be a little bit weird. Oh, so Salah is expected to drop in price. Well, not expected to drop in price, apologies. He's on his way to drop. Yeah, so I'm fine. I'll lose like 1 mil. I'm not too upset about that one. I'm just going to check some predicted points, to be honest. Samedo news. Ian, are you asking me or are you telling me? If you're asking me, I think it's quite a bad injury, to be honest. Andy's saying about 1 million short. So Andy, check my latest draft. That's different to the Bruno one, eh? In that draft, I've gone for Sancho over Bruno, and I've changed the team slightly. Sorry guys, I'm just checking some predicted points here. Hope Chelsea wins, says Phoenix. I hope not. I hope Liverpool win. But I mean, hopefully it's just a good game. And Kit, I'm not free hitting. I'm using this team, and I'm going to be doing 2 free transfers. Not 2 free transfers, 1 free transfer and a hit. Top 5 captains this week: Weghorst, Son, Pope, Bruno / Ronaldo / Sancho, and a 5th one, Kane. Any of those should be fine. So, which defenders have the highest ceiling this week? Like, the algorithm rates Everton a lot. It's quite interesting. Do you think Cancelo starts this week? Sean saying give the stream a like, guys. That will be appreciated, but it's never compulsory. But if you are enjoying it, you can. So we saw Semedo even though he has a double game week. Ian, unfortunately, if you have Semedo, that's the tough part about this, is that I'm almost giving myself another game week by not going for Semedo just to get some news. But if you have him, I mean, you could keep him, but to me it looked quite serious, but I'm no doctor. So it's a bit rough. Livermento, Kyle Walker Peters, Delot, Shaw, pick 2. Sorry to ask so many questions. No worries. I would go Kyle Walker Peters and I'd go Delot. Apparently, Shaw maybe is going to be rotated. Will you be doing the transfers? Ryan, I will be, but I just have to kind of decide on who I go for, unfortunately. That's what I'm kind of pondering. Out of the Man City midfielders, I think Mahrez is slightly edging it, but Sterling's also up there. De Bruyne is a safe option, but I think that Mahrez and Sterling are a bit more exciting. Fernandes is projected to score the most points if you guys are going to run your team on projected points. He's predicted to score 6.5, whereas Mahrez is 5.3. That Everton game could be a bit spicy, but I mean, you got to favor Man City, I guess. Any early team news? Let me go check Twitter for you guys. Okay, so let's check what old Twitter says. Okay, so I don't think we have early team news. Nothing so far, to be honest. No, I don't see any kind of early team news, guys, unfortunately. But I might not be following the right accounts. That's the other thing at the end of the day. One thing, please make sure that you lock in your chips. That's also something like Andy Hutch will attest. Don't get those minus 48s. Broy captain sounds any good, or me captain? I just think that Norwich have looked slightly better recently. And that's why I might not go for the Southampton captain. And that's why I might just go for Ben Mee. Am I free hitting? Mark, I'm not free hitting. I'm going to be using 2 free transfers. What does your team name mean? It means it's coming home in Afrikaans. What transfers are you making? So currently, Hamad, you've donated again. So I will check for your question now. Please, I can try and check for it. Can you search this? Okay, Hamad, I've got your question here. I have Semedo, who's injured, and Salah and Van Dijk and Arnold and Foster and Ramsdale. Should I free it? I have 2 and 0 in the bank. Yes, free it. Hamad, lock it in right now and do it quickly, brother. That's what I would say. I've created 2 free drafts. Choose which one of them you like the best, and then just go with that. The free is tempered this week. I don't understand why people are captaining Vach. He's some random Burnley striker, captain on reliable history. Sonny's playing Leeds. He is, so you can go for Sonny. I think it's close between him and Vachos, to be honest. I think it's just the double game week. And the worry about Spurs right now is that apparently their midfield is going to be quite lackluster. I think they've got a couple of injuries, so they're expecting maybe Winks and Holberg, and that's not too creative. So I don't know how to read into that, but I mean it is Leeds. Fernandes or Sterling? I'd go Sterling. I think City have the high ceiling in the game. Foden will start or not. I think if you have him, you keep him. If you don't, if you want to free it, then I would go Morris and Sterling rather. But I mean, it's tough. Eric saying they will not. If I confirm a transfer before the free it, no, Eric. So I got to ask this question as well. If you activate transfers before the free it, they get wiped out. Everything you do this week is going to be wiped out. Morris or KDB? I favor Morris slightly just because of the ceiling, but KDB is a bit of a safer option because he will definitely play. Just noticed that the okay, so 15 minutes left. I guess we should lock in some transfers. Morris or Sterling? Rafa, I'm going with Morris, I think. Rang Ding wanted to send a super chat. No worries. I can check the question. But I think I answered your question though. Just answer your question in chat. You don't have to send a super chat. If it's a super chat, just say thanks. I mean, it's appreciated, but you don't have to. Start Livramento or Shaw? Ben, I think you start Livramento, and if he gets benched, you get Shaw off the bench. I think that's probably the best. Best so far replacements except for Trent and Cancelo. I think you go with you either go with Wolves assets for long term, or you go with Burnley assets this week. Harry's saying starting to second guess the Vachos captain. I mean, it is Burnley at the end of the day. So Salah out. For me, I think it's Mahrez this week. I just hope he plays. That's going to be RIP if he doesn't. That will be RIP if Mahrez doesn't play. Yeah, so I'm making trans on the other screen, and then I'll refresh it. So just, so Mahrez is currently in for Salah, and now who for Van Dijk? Do we go Cancelo? Or do we go Ben Mee? I think we go Cancelo. But Mee is also guaranteed. Cancelo or Mee? You got bench, no worries. I don't have bench. I think Cancelo, hey, I think he's the safer one. Yeah, they could both be bench G-Ball. That's why I'm like, maybe I should just go with Ben Mee and then just go a little bit safe. But I think Cancelo should start. I think we go certainties and we go Ben Mee. I mean, he's guaranteed to play 2, and then maybe they can keep a clean sheet or something like that. But I think we do go Morris. Yeah, so I guess he has guaranteed 4 points at the end of the day. Maybe he can get something more than that. Whereas Cancelo might bang, might not. Yeah. So I'm going to be going for Ben Mee and Morris, guys, with my -4. So I'm confirming them. And then I'll refresh here just to prove that I'm not joking around. Can you guys see that? Okay, so the there, that looks fine, eh? So we're going with Mahrez and Ben Mee for a -4. Those are my transfers. Hopefully Mee scores and hopefully Mahrez plays. I just hope. I remove Lloris for Saar. That's a fine long-term move, but the thing about Lloris is that they do have a double coming up. So it's a bit of an almost sideways move, but they have a better double next week. So I can understand it, but Danny, I might just leave it this week and just... I don't think West Ham's the kind of fixture to bring in. I'd say just go with Lloris. Jason, I'm not. Are you wildcarding? I wildcarded last week. Me confirmed. Liam, the screen you see right now is confirmed. I've confirmed these transfers. I did a -4 if you guys are listening, maybe on audio or something like that. I took out Van Dijk and Salah to Mahrez and Ben Mee. What an upgrade. Am I right? Then I'll bring them in next week. Don't worry. How much in the bank? Let me check. I've got 6.5 in the bank. Nice value there. Mahrez hat-trick. I hope Mahrez is the top scorer and everyone else blanks from Man City, because that's what I need. Ropefly, I have the same team as you. Won't it be better to swap out Saka for Mahrez? It's the exact same kind of move I'm going for. Salah and Saka don't have a fixture anyways. And I want to bring in Saka next week anyway. I want to have him next week anyway. So it's very similar, those moves. But I can understand what you kind of, the thinking behind it. But I think Saka's also risen in price anyway, so it's fine. Will you get Salah back in? I will next week. I'll bring him in for a -4 unless I go for maybe a double game week play or something like that. But I probably won't. Salah back next week, Ryan. That'll be pretty confirmed unless I do favor another double game week play or something like that. But yeah. Dayvy, first time you've done an early transfer on a deadline stream. I apologize, guys. I don't want to get a reputation of doing them so bad. Andy, sorry for using it as an example. Would you be using one now? I would. Andy, if you have a fine team and you can just burn one, but I'm pretty sure you won't have a full starting 11 or an excellent one. Peter, why don't you pick KDB? I think Mahrez and Sterling have a high ceiling. That's the only reason I've gone for it. No worries, Liam. Hopefully you had a good holiday. Pratik saying KDB or Son. Already have Foden, Cancelo, and Kane. I'd go Son. I think Leeds is a better fixture than Everton is. Best Man City midfielder, I would go for Sterling or Mahrez. I've gone for Mahrez just because I feel like he will play as he was benched last week. But if he is benched, I'm in the mud completely. Sancho or Foden? Sancho's a bit safer. Will you bring Salah back tonight? No, because there's a couple of fixtures before next week. Son or Bruno captain? I favour Son, Ty. Gallagher or Elanga for the start? So Crystal Palace play Brentford. If Elanga's guaranteed to play, I would go with that. But I think I don't know about Elanga, but he should play. If he does play, go for it. But I think Gallagher might be safer. Put blank players on the pitch for vibes. Maybe if I had a better screen, but I've kind of zoomed in too much now. But you guys can do that. I remember you were going to do a face reveal at 1 million subs. That is true. Then I did it. And now we've been at like 29k for like a year. So if you guys want to sub and help us out for the face reveal at 1 million, you can. 5 minutes, guys. What I'll do is I'll do a quick fire round for the last 5 minutes. I'm going to check Twitter quickly just to get you guys some news. And then we'll do a quick fire. So get those questions in if you guys want them answered. Okay, let's clear the voice. And let's get some questions answered here. So KDB or Sterling? Gary, I think KDB is the safe option, but Sterling has the high ceiling. Team use Vernon, no team use, unfortunately. Captain Tsimikas and Vice Captain Vachos for the vibes. I'm not going to do... I don't even have Tsimikas, but you can go for that. Is this a freer team? No, it's not, Nofu, but thank you for the compliment. Murray said, would you be able to afford to get Salah and Adams next week if you don't... if you'd have gone for Cancelo? Murray, I would have taken Cancelo out next week, though. I'm taking out me next week as well anyways, so I would have been able to do it. Will Salah drop in price tonight? No, I don't think he will. James Ward for Ramsey and Breuer for Watkins. I think I might just hold. They have a fixture this week, Devon, and next week they have a double, which isn't too bad. Who is the best first sub for you? I have no bench at all, Connor. My bench is shocking. Why less favor in KDB this game week? I think for one game week at a time in isolation, Mahrez and Sterling have a high ceiling, and that's why I've gone for them. KDB could bang, but I'm just going for a punt this week as a 1 week punt. Vach or Kane captain, I prefer Vachhorst. Good luck, says G-Red, and he's locked in. Good luck to you too, brother. Karen saying thanks, happy Friday to you too, Karen. Hopefully you have a safe weekend. Why not remove Salah just to get him back next week? Because I feel like Mahrez could potentially outscore my hits that I take. Captain confirmed. Yes, it is confirmed. Delotto, Kyle Walker-Peters. I slightly am tempted by Walker-Peters, especially if you're on a long-term move, Potter. Ronaldo and Sancho or get Mahrez in. I would say get Mahrez in. Hey, Dayvy, who would you recommend downgrade if you're 6 points short on your freer team? I can't remember it exactly, but I'm trying to think now. Honestly, maybe downgrade like a Mahrez to someone cheaper, or Sterling to someone cheaper, but I can't exactly remember it. Thanks, Rangding. Thank you for the support. Tyler, for you guys saying Vachos from -4, or Kane and me from -8. If you're going to captain Vachos, go for the -4. But if you're not, and you're going to captain Kane or me, it just depends who you want to captain out of those. City plays a must, and what about Bruno? I've got Cancelo. They're not a must, but I feel like they could do well this week, but equally Bruno could as well. It's whoever you think is going to score more goals, and I think Man City will. G-Boss saying good luck all. Vincent saying time's up, but it's not 2 minutes left. Mahrez is on pens, so must start, says Kevin. That's my thinking was that I don't think he'll start because he's on pens, but he is on pens, which is a nice little enabler. No worries, Unkick. Enjoy the weekend. Best captaincy options. I think Son or Vachos for me. Either of those two is fine. What Wolves defender to bring in? Saiz number 1 or Cody number 2? Ait-Nouri is a nice little differential, but I feel like he might be rotated. I just don't know. I feel like James Ward-Prowse will score tonight. Devon, hopefully Foster scores and Breuer scores. Or Foster assists Breuer. They'll be gold. Remember to say good morning to your captain. That is true. I will say good morning to my captain. Bernie to score headers, please. Have them all, says Igor. 100%. That's what I'm hoping for me and Vachhorst. Not too much from Tarkowski, but if those two can score, I'll be fine. What Wolves defend? I think I already answered that. Sancho or Coutinho? For this week, Sancho, but for the long term, Coutinho. Foden or Bernardo Silva? I still would go with Foden. Everton about to gift City goals, so Liverpool have to have a tough or tighter race, says G-Ball. That was my thinking, and that's why I almost wanted to bring the Man City assets in, because if they score, good for FPL, bad for real life, but if they don't, then it's good for real life. Harry saying good luck everyone. 1 minute left, that is true. Shaw, Elanga or Maguire, Gilmore bench. Shaw, Elanga, because they're on the bench anyways. Sancho or Coutinho? I think I've mentioned that, Kunal. Kane or Vachhorst captain? I prefer Vachhorst. Would you take a -4 to drop Teo or Gabriel? If so, for who? This week, it would be for Cancelo, but that's about it. But that is the time, guys. So we are at the end of another deadline stream. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it. Was a little bit rushed at the end there, but I feel like it was a more chilled stream. in general, just because we kind of knew what we were going to do. But yeah, that is the time up, as Phil is saying. So the team has been locked in, 2 transfers made, -4 hit. Team looks fine for this week, but not sensational. Just hope that we can do something, and hopefully all my players end up returning. But thanks again for joining me on a Friday night. I always do appreciate your guys' support, and hopefully you have a safe weekend. And as I always say, hopefully the green arrow's in our favor, and I'll see you guys for massive double Game Week 28 news coming up hopefully shortly, where we're probably going to bench boost. But I'm going to sign off. It's been Dayvy FPL, and I'm out. Cheers. Bye.